So, you think you've got what it takes to make it out there in the cutthroat world of YouTube video essays? Well, you're probably right. And I'm here to help you do it. I've put together a small beginner's guide to producing content on YouTube that will hopefully give you some insight into how to find your voice and make your first viral hit. The guide is broken down into 4 sections that each address specific aspects of the content creation, and we're getting started with every director in Hollywood has a style. That's the reason why you can easily identify a Tim Burton or Wes Anderson movie without too much trouble. Figuring out what makes your style unique and how your specific strengths can play into that goes a long way into standing out amongst your peers. For example, Bill Wurtz is an immensely successful creator. He makes comedic and clever videos about, well, really anything. And he's got nearly 790 million total channel views. Watching any of his videos will quickly allow you to understand why. He uses very succinct and snappy editing and scripting with interspersed that both serve the video by helping capture and retain audience attention, and also are very distinct characteristics of the way Wurtz makes his videos. And using the same creator, his lack of intro, conclusion, and specific transitions lends the very short videos to feel much longer and like they have a sort of feel to it. My ultimate point here is that unless you create content that feels like yours through and through, you're going to struggle to stand out in the modern day. Always be looking out for inspiration. Next time you are going to watch one of your favorite creators, try to identify exactly why you like them so much, and if there are any elements that you're interested in trying to incorporate in your own way. This is probably the second most important thing to consider in this video. Knowing who your audience is and how to cater to them without compromising yourself is one of the most difficult things you can do as a creator, and often is what makes the difference between like a one-hit wonder type of thing and like a truly successful career. If your goal, let's say, is to make essays about filmmaking techniques, that's a niche that won't likely have a lot of people like under 15 or over 30 in it. So making like overly simplistic or outdated references or explanations is going to be difficult to make work. But on the flip side of that, there's also the problem of getting stuck. If you spend too long worrying about what your audience wants you to make, you're eventually going to find that you're not making what you want to make anymore, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the last section. If you're realizing you're not exactly sure who you want to appeal to, that's okay and pretty normal. And it most certainly is going to grow and develop as you grow and develop as a creator. My advice, if you're really struggling to figure it out, is to go watch videos similar to the videos that you want to make, and then go into the comment section and just take notes of the types of responses and people. And you can be pretty sure that your audience is going to be mostly similar to them if you're planning on making similar types of videos. I'd also recommend going and maybe just sounding some ideas off of a friend, because just having somebody else's opinion can actually help cover a lot of bases that you might have missed on your own. This is one of the most complicated sections to discuss. Unlike almost any other trade or job where an individual is expected to handle specific tasks, a content creator is expected to handle being the writer, editor, camera crew, lights, audio, music, advertising, hair, makeup, you name it, etc., etc., etc. And this means that in every aspect of the video's creation, there are nearly infinite possibilities on how you're gonna approach like each one and put them all together. And maybe that means hiring a writer, deciding what to edit with, buying a camera, or using your phone. So I would say that the ultimate goal is to remove as much friction from the process as possible. If you're finding yourself spending a disproportionate amount of time doing something, it might help to look for alternative solutions. For example, if you're trying to write a song that fits a specific part, or hire somebody to do some music and it's just not working out, maybe just explore some free music libraries or alternative ways to fill the sound, maybe candid audio or something like that. The bottom line here is you need to find a method that allows you to most effectively make the content that you're trying to make. For some, all they need is a phone and an internet connection, and for others, they might need a whole team to make their vision come to fruition. Explore a lot. Do not just settle on any one thing. Always be trying new techniques. Basically, don't stay stagnant, and eventually, over time, you're going to figure out a method that works for you. It's unfortunate, but sometimes the most difficult part of having a presence on the internet is sadly dealing with all of the other people on the internet. Just the level of scrutiny and feedback you get, both good and bad, isn't something that we're really normally prepared for. And there have been plenty of creators on the platform that have proven that they can't handle such a high volume of eyes on them. And honestly, one of the biggest verticals right now on the platform is making drama videos about creators and if they're awesome or bad. I've been told that it's important to find a personally healthy relationship with your content and how it's received. You don't want to ignore all criticism and like artificially stagnate yourself, but you also don't want to spend all day thinking and reading the chaos of opinion in your comment section. And you really have to do your best to just identify the feedback that is constructive in nature, things like factual errors being pointed out, suggestions for other topics, feedback on editing styles, things that people really are showing a good faith effort to like improve your content instead of just tear you down. On the flip side again, you also should remember that you're making content that is yours at the end of the day, and sometimes you need to ignore all feedback and just make what will satisfy you creatively. So that was a short beginner's guide to creating your own YouTube essays. There was a lot I couldn't cover, unfortunately, in this single video, but if you're interested in a more granular explanation of some of these concepts, let me know, and maybe we'll do some more in-depth deep dives at some point in the future. I'd like to end by sharing a quote from Eric Faden in his 2008 essay, A Manifesto for Critical Media, which I discovered while doing research for this project. And it reads, "The media stylo, video essay, by contrast, suggests possibilities. It is not the end of scholarly inquiry, it is the beginning. It explores and experiments, and is designed just as much to inspire as to convince." So, are you inspired?